The lights of New glowed like fallen stars across the valley. 4 million humans called this world home. They had built it from nothing over 80 years. Now it was a place of beauty, peace, and hope. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dawn, watching the planet through the observation window. His daughter Sumi lived down there with her husband and 2 children. Tonight was the festival of first landing. He wished he could be there to watch his run through the streets with their glowing lanterns. But duty called him elsewhere. The Galactic Accord needed human ships to escort a diplomatic convoy. Humans were good at diplomacy. Everyone said so. For 80 years, humanity had been the peacemakers of the galaxy. They built hospitals on war-torn worlds. They fed the hungry. They talked when others wanted to fight. Was proud of what his species had become. But sometimes, late at night, he wondered if they had forgotten something important. His communication officer, a young woman named, looked up from her console. Her face was pale. "Admiral," she said, "something is wrong." Turned, "What is it?" "News orbital defense network just went offline. All of it, at once." Felt ice spread through his chest. "Get me a connection to planetary command." "I'm trying, sir." No response. The bridge fell silent. Every officer stopped what they were doing. They all knew what a sudden blackout meant. Then the first images came through. Ships, hundreds of ships. They appeared from nowhere, dropping out of faster-than-light travel directly above New. Their hulls were black and covered with sharp angles. Recognized them immediately. The Dominion. "No," whispered. They were a warrior species. They believed in strength above all else. They had always looked at humans with disgust. Weak, they called them. Soft. Too busy helping others to help themselves. But they had never attacked before. They had never dared. Now their ships hung above New like vultures waiting for death. Admiral shouted, "They're charging weapons." Grabbed the communication controls himself. "New, this is Admiral Park. Evacuate immediately. Get everyone underground. Do you hear me? Evacuate now." Static answered him. On the screen, the ships opened fire. Beams of burning light fell from the sky. They struck the cities, the farms, the forests. Everything they touched turned to fire. The atmosphere itself seemed to catch flame. Watched his daughter's city disappear under a wall of fire. He could not move. He could not breathe. He could only watch as 4 million people died in 6 hours. They did not stop until nothing remained. No buildings, no trees, no life, just ash and smoke and silence. Then they broadcast a message across every channel in the galaxy. "Let this be a lesson," the commander said. His face filled the screen, reptilian and cold. "Humans are weak. They hide behind words and treaties. They think kindness is strength. Today we showed them the truth. Cross the Dominion and this is your fate. Remember this, humans, know your place." The broadcast ended. Stood alone on his bridge, surrounded by crying officers. He did not cry. Something inside him had broken. Something else had taken its place. Something cold and dark and patient. 3 days later, Earth's United Council gathered in the Great Hall of the World Parliament. Representatives from every nation sat in shocked silence. The galaxy watched, waiting to see what the peaceful humans would do. Director, now promoted to head of intelligence, sat in the shadows. Her younger brother had been a teacher on New. He taught children to paint and dream. Now he was ash. She felt nothing. That scared her more than the grief. Captain Bay stood at attention near the entrance. He was young, barely 30, but his eyes looked old. He had been stationed at a supply depot when the attack happened. He should have been there. He should have died with them. Instead, he was here, alive, useless. Supreme Chancellor walked to the central podium. He was an old man with white hair and kind eyes. He had spent 40 years building peace. Now peace had burned. "Citizens of Earth," he began. 3 days ago, the Dominion murdered 4 million of our people. They killed our children. They killed our elders. They killed our dreams." His voice was steady, but his hands shook. "The galaxy expects us to mourn, to cry, to beg the Accord for justice." He paused. "They will be disappointed." Murmurs spread through the hall. "For 80 years we have been kind. We have been helpful. We have been everything the galaxy wanted us to be. And what did it earn us? The contempt of species who think mercy is weakness." Looked directly into the broadcast cameras. His kind eyes were gone. Something else looked out now. "They think we cannot fight. They think we have forgotten how. They are wrong." He raised his hand. "Protocol Prometheus, activate." Every screen in the hall flickered. Military officers received encrypted orders. Deep beneath Earth's surface, doors that had not opened in 80 years began to move. "We were wolves once," said. "We chose to become shepherds, we chose peace. We chose kindness, but they killed our flock, they burned our home." His voice dropped to a whisper that somehow filled the entire hall. "Now we choose something else." Admiral Park received his orders on the bridge of the eternal dawn. His hands were steady as he read them. His broken heart still beat, but now it beat for one purpose only. Director smiled for the first time in 3 days. The smile did not reach her eyes. Captain Bay closed his eyes and accepted what was coming. He had wanted to die with his people. Now he would live for them instead. He would become something terrible. Across Earth, hidden facilities powered up. Ships that officially did not exist received crews. Weapons that violated every treaty in the galaxy were loaded and armed. They had wanted to teach humanity a lesson about weakness. They were about to learn that the galaxy had made a terrible mistake. They had confused kindness for inability. They had thought humans were soft because they had to be. The truth was far more dangerous. Humans were soft because they chose to be. And now they chose differently. Chancellor spoke his final words to the watching galaxy. "To the Dominion, you wanted war, you have it. To the rest of the galaxy, stay out of our way. We are done being civilized. We are done being kind. We remember what we were before we chose peace." He leaned forward. "And we are very, very good at it." The broadcast ended. Earth went silent. No trade ships, no diplomatic messages, no communication at all. The galaxy waited, confused and afraid. They had no idea what was coming. The galaxy grew nervous. Trade routes that once carried human goods sat empty. Diplomatic channels that once buzzed with human voices went silent. It was like Earth had simply disappeared. The Dominion laughed at first. They told stories about how the weak humans were hiding, crying, too afraid to show their faces. Their commanders made jokes about the massacre. They replayed the destruction of Nu at military celebrations. But as weeks became months, the laughter grew quieter. Deep beneath the mountains of Korea, Director walked through corridors that did not exist on any map. The facility had been built 100 years ago, during the last great war between human nations. When Earth joined the Galactic Accord, most military research was shut down and hidden away. "Most, not all." "Show me what we have," said. The general beside her nodded. He pressed his hand against a scanner, and massive doors slid open. Beyond them lay a cavern larger than any building on the surface, and filling that cavern, row after row, stood warships. Not the small, lightly armed vessels Earth showed to the galaxy. These were monsters of metal and fire. Their hulls were thick with armor. Their weapon systems glowed with terrible potential. "The Shadow Fleet," the general said. 347 ships, each one more powerful than anything they have. Walked among the ships, her boots echoed in the silence. "And the weapons?" she asked. "Everything the Accord banned. Pulse cannons that can crack a planet's crust. AI targeting systems that never miss. Stealth technology that makes our ships invisible to every sensor in the galaxy." The general paused. "We kept developing everything in secret, just in case." Touched one of the ship's hulls. It was cold under her fingers. "My brother believed in peace," she said quietly. "He thought if we were kind enough, others would be kind too." She turned to face the general. "He was wrong. Being kind just made us targets. Now we will show them what we hid behind that kindness." On the other side of Earth, Admiral Park stood before his new command crew. They were not the officers he had known before. These were different, special. "You were selected because you lost someone at Nu," said. "A wife, a husband, a child, a parent." His voice was flat, empty of everything except cold purpose. "You were selected because you will not hesitate. You will not show mercy. You will not stop until our work is done." A young captain raised her hand. "Admiral, what exactly is our mission?" Activated the holographic display. A map of space appeared, glowing red. They won. They think we are broken. They have no idea what is coming." He pointed to a cluster of systems near the border. "We will not attack their military, not yet. First, we will destroy their sense of safety. We will make them afraid to sleep. We will make them jump at shadows. We will teach them that nowhere is safe." "Psychological warfare," the captain said. "The beginning of it." Eyes were dark. "They wanted to teach us a lesson about power. We are going to give them an education they will never forget. Captain Bay received his assignment on a cold morning in January. He stood in a briefing room filled with pilots and special operations soldiers. All of them had the same look in their eyes, the look of people who had lost everything. "You are Ghost Squadron," the briefing officer told them. "You do not exist. Your ships do not exist. Your missions do not exist. You will strike without warning and disappear without a trace. The enemy will never see you. They will only see the results of your work." Looked at his crew. They were young, most of them, young and angry and ready to become something terrible. "Our first mission," the officer continued, "is to enter space and deliver a message." "What kind of message?" asked. The officer smiled, but there was no joy in it, the kind that keeps commanders awake at night. 2 weeks later, a border patrol detected a single human ship entering their space. It was small, unarmed, moving slowly. The patrol commander laughed when he saw it. "Look at this," he told his crew. "The humans finally found their courage. One little ship. They must be here to surrender." He ordered his ships to surround the human vessel. "Human ship, this is Commander Vex of the Dominion. You have entered our space without permission. Prepare to be destroyed." The human ship did nothing. It just floated there, silent and still. "They are terrified," the commander said. "Open fire." His weapons charged. His crew targeted the small vessel. Then every screen on his ship went dark. "What is happening?" he demanded. The screens flickered back on, but instead of tactical displays they showed something else. A human face, a young man with cold, empty eyes. "Hello, Commander Vex," Captain Bay said. "We are not here to fight." "Then why are you here, human?" "To deliver a message." The screens changed again. Now they showed information, personal information, the commander's home address, his wife's name, his children's schools, their daily schedules, photographs of them walking through markets, playing in parks, living their lives. Commander Vex felt his blood turn to ice. "How do you have this?" he whispered. "We have been watching," said. "For 80 years, while you laughed at us, while you called us weak, we watched, we learned, we prepared." The screen showed more information. Other commanders, their families, their secrets, their fears. "You killed 4 million of our people," continued. "Men, women, children, you did it to teach us our place." His voice dropped to a whisper. "Now we are going to teach you something. We are going to teach you fear." The screens went black. The human ship vanished. No weapons fire, no engines, nothing. It simply disappeared as if it had never been there. Commander Vex stood on his bridge, shaking. He looked at his crew. They were shaking too. "Report this to High Command," he ordered. "Tell them," he paused, "tell them the humans are not what we thought they were." The news spread through the Dominion like fire. The weak humans had done something impossible. They had appeared from nowhere, delivered threats, and vanished without a trace. Their intelligence was terrifyingly detailed. They knew everything. And they had made no demands, offered no negotiations, just a simple promise. "We are going to teach you fear." The Galactic Accord sent messages to Earth, demanding explanation. Earth did not respond. Other species began to worry. The humans they had known were gentle, helpful, kind. These new humans were something else, something that had been hidden beneath the surface all along. The High Council held emergency meetings. They doubled their border patrols. They increased security around their leaders. They told their people that everything was under control. But late at night, commanders checked their homes. They watched their children sleep. They wondered if human eyes were watching them right now. Admiral Park received the reports on his flagship. The mission was a complete success. The first seed of fear had been planted. "This is only the beginning," he told Director through a secure channel. "I know," she replied. "Phase 2 is ready. Our agents are in position on every major world. When you give the word, we will begin taking their civilization apart piece by piece." Closed his eyes. Somewhere deep inside him, a small voice whispered that this was wrong, that his daughter would not have wanted this. He silenced that voice. His daughter was dead. His were ash. Kindness had not saved them. "Give the word," he said. Nodded. "The wolves are hunting again." Across space, humans who had lived there for decades as traders, doctors, and teachers began their true work. They had been sleeper agents all along, watching, waiting. Now they woke up. They had no idea how deep the humans had already reached into their civilization. They were about to find out. 6 months after the massacre, The Dominion began to fall apart from the inside. It started with small things. Power grids failed without explanation. Water treatment plants stopped working. Food supply convoys disappeared between cities, leaving no wreckage, no evidence, nothing. Just empty space where ships had been. At first, the blamed accidents, then sabotage. Then they stopped making excuses and started being afraid. Director watched the reports come in from her underground office on Earth. Each one made her smile a little more. Not a happy smile. The smile of someone who had forgotten what happiness felt like. Supply Convoy 7 is missing, her assistant reported. That is the 5th one this week. Good, said. What about the power grid on their agricultural world? It failed 3 hours ago. They are scrambling to repair it, but our people sabotaged the backup systems too. Their crops will start dying within days. Nodded, she pulled up a photograph on her screen. A young man with bright eyes and a gentle smile. Her brother. He had been an art teacher on New. He taught children to paint sunsets and dream about the future. Now he was Ash. Send the next message to their High Council, she ordered. Her assistant hesitated. Director, are you sure this one is personal? That is the point. The message arrived at High Command 1 hour later. It was a simple package. Inside was a child's drawing. A human child had painted it, showing their family standing in front of their home on New. At the bottom, written in a child's handwriting, were the words, "My happy family." The drawing had been recovered from the ashes. Attached was a note, "1 of 4 million. We remember every single one. Do you remember what you did?" The commanders who opened the package could not meet each other's eyes. Admiral Park led the Shadow Fleet through space like a ghost. His ships appeared without warning, struck without mercy, and vanished before the enemy could respond. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display. 3 shipyards glowed as targets on the screen. These facilities had taken the centuries to build. They were the heart of their military power. All squadrons report ready, his tactical officer said. Nodded, begin the attack. The Shadow Fleet struck at midnight time. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly above the shipyards, already firing. Pulse cannons tore through defensive stations. Missiles found weak points with perfect accuracy. The AI targeting systems never missed. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted 11 minutes. When it was over, the 3 largest shipyards in the Dominion were nothing but debris. Thousands of soldiers were dead, and the Shadow Fleet was gone, vanished into the darkness without losing a single ship. Watched the recordings of the destruction. His face showed nothing. Inside, he felt something that might have been satisfaction, or maybe it was just the absence of everything else. His daughter Sumi used to call him soft-hearted Papa. She teased him about crying at sad movies and adopting stray animals. She said he was the gentlest man she had ever known. That man was dead. He had died with New. What remained was something else. Something that could watch shipyards burn and feel nothing at all. Admiral, his communication officer said, Director has sent a message. Phase 3 is ready. Closed his eyes. Phase 3 was the part of their plan, not because of what they would do, but because of what they would make the enemy imagine. Proceed, he said. Captain Bay and Ghost Squadron landed on a colony world under cover of darkness. Their stealth suits made them invisible to sensors and eyes alike. They moved through the capital city like shadows. Their mission was not to kill. Not yet. Their mission was worse. Stopped outside a government building. His team spread out, each one taking a different target. They worked quickly and silently. By morning, every government official in the city woke up to find something outside their door. A photograph of themselves taken while they slept. A note with their name, their family members' names, and one sentence. We could have. We didn't. This time. The officials panicked. They called security. They demanded protection. But how could anyone protect them from enemies who could enter their homes while they slept? The psychological effect was devastating. Officials started refusing to work. Military commanders demanded transfers to safer posts. Fear spread through the power structure like poison. And still the humans did not attack the people directly. They destroyed infrastructure. They shattered confidence. They made the powerful feel helpless, but they did not massacre civilians. That restraint terrified them more than anything else. Why don't they just attack us? A commander screamed at his staff. Why don't they fight like normal enemies? No one had an answer. The truth was simple. The humans were not fighting a war. They were teaching a lesson. They wanted it to understand exactly how it felt to be helpless, to watch destruction come and be unable to stop it, to know that mercy was the only thing standing between them and extinction. And they wanted it to know that human mercy could be taken away. 3 months into the campaign, Ghost Squadron completed their 100th mission. They gathered on their hidden base ship, exhausted but functioning. Looked at his crew. They had changed. The young soldiers who had been angry and grieving were now something harder, professional, efficient, cold. He saw the same change in himself when he looked in the mirror. "We have new orders," he told them. "The Admiral wants us to deliver a special package to the High Council." One of his soldiers, a woman named, raised her hand. "What kind of package?" Pulled out a small container. Inside was a child's toy, a small stuffed animal burned and dirty. It had been recovered from new. "We are going to leave this on the High Council's meeting table," said, along with a message. "What message?" Looked at the toy. He thought about the child who had owned it. Had they been sleeping when the bombs fell? Had they been playing? Had they known what was happening, or had it been too fast? "The message is simple," he said. 4 million dead. We will take 4 million in return, and we've only just started counting." The room was silent. "That seems cruel," said quietly. Met her eyes. "Yes, it is. That is the point." The package was delivered 3 days later. Ghost Squadron infiltrated the most secure building in the Dominion, passed through dozens of guards without being detected, and left the toy on the High Council's table. When the council members found it the next morning, 2 of them collapsed. One began crying and could not stop. Another resigned immediately and fled to a distant colony. The message was clear. The humans could reach anyone, anywhere, at any time, and they would not stop until the debt was paid. Director watched the reports of the High Council's breakdown with empty eyes. She should have felt triumph. Instead, she felt nothing. Her assistant approached carefully. "Director, we have reports that some colonies are trying to surrender independently. They want to break away from the Dominion and make peace with Earth. Consider this. Tell them we will remember their choice, but the war is not with them. It is with their government. If they stay out of our way, we will stay out of theirs. And if they don't," turned to face her assistant. Her eyes were like ice. "Then they will learn what their government learned, that mercy is a choice, and humans can choose differently." She looked at her brother's photograph one more time. "We were good," she whispered. "We were so good to everyone, and they killed us for it. They killed children, they killed dreamers, they killed everything soft and kind." She set the photograph face down. "Now they will see what remains when kindness dies." 1 year after the massacre of Nu, the galaxy had learned a new word for terror. That word was human. Stories spread from system to system. They grew with each telling, but the truth was terrible enough. Human ships that appeared from empty space. Human soldiers who walked through walls. Human weapons that could not be stopped, could not be blocked, could not even be seen until it was too late. The species who had once called humans soft now spoke about them in whispers. "Did you hear what happened at the military headquarters?" Traders asked each other in space stations far from Earth. "They say the humans walked through an army to get there. They say they had 10,000 soldiers guarding the building. The humans lost 12. I heard they broadcast the battle across the galaxy. They wanted everyone to see." The stories were true, all of them. Admiral Park had led the assault himself. He had planned it for months. The military headquarters was the most heavily defended location in their entire civilization. Taking it would be more than a military victory. It would be a message to every species in the galaxy. The humans are not what you thought they were. The battle began at dawn. The Shadow Fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel directly above the headquarters planet, guns already firing. Defense stations exploded before they could power up their shields. But that was just the distraction. While they scrambled to respond to the orbital attack, Captain Bay and Ghost Squadron landed on the surface. They moved through the city like smoke, killing guards so quietly that bodies were not discovered for hours. When they reached the headquarters, 10,000 soldiers stood between them and their target. "We have the numbers," the commander said confidently. "Hold the line, they cannot get through." He was wrong. The humans fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. They were fast, creative, and completely without fear. When one tactic did not work, they tried another. When weapons failed, they used their hands. When they were wounded, they kept fighting. But it was not just their skill that terrified them, it was their eyes. Every human soldier had the same look, empty, cold, focused on one thing and one thing only, that had killed 4 million people who had never done them any harm. Children, elders, families, dreamers. Now the debt was being collected. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the military headquarters was in human hands. The Shadow Fleet held the space above, and the message had been sent. Stood in the command center of the conquered headquarters. Around him, his soldiers secured prisoners and downloaded data from computers. He should have felt victorious. Instead, he felt tired. His communication officer approached. "Admiral, we are receiving messages from other species, the Galactic Accord, the Free Trade Alliance, everyone. What do they want? They want to know if we are going to keep going. They want to know if they are next." Laughed, it was not a happy sound. "Tell them we have no war with anyone except the. As long as they stay out of our way, they have nothing to fear from us." He paused. "But also tell them this. We remember who called us weak. We remember who laughed when new burned. We remember everything. And if anyone else decides to test our kindness." He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. The message was sent. The galaxy understood. Across the stars, species who had never paid attention to humanity began studying human history. They learned about the wars humans had fought against each other, the terrible weapons they had created, the cities they had burned, the millions they had killed, all before they ever reached the stars. They learned about something called nuclear weapons, about biological warfare, about the concentration camps and genocides and purges that stained human history. And they finally understood something that should have been obvious from the beginning. Humans were not peaceful because they were incapable of violence. They were peaceful because they had seen what they were capable of, and it had scared them. They had chosen kindness because they knew what lived inside them. They had built treaties and laws and moral codes to keep the monster chained. They had not conquered a weak species. They had unlocked a cage. Director received reports from her intelligence network. The information was everything she had hoped for. "The Dominion is fracturing," her assistant reported. 3 colony worlds have declared independence. Their military is in chaos, and their allies are abandoning them. "Which allies?" "All of them. They pulled their trade agreements this morning. The Federation recalled their ambassador. The Galactic Accord has begun formal proceedings to expel the entirely." Nodded. This was the plan, working perfectly. Break the enemy's alliances, isolate them, make them alone. "What about the Emperor?" "He has requested communication with Earth. He wants to discuss surrender terms." Felt something cold move in her chest. After a year of war, after everything they had taken from the enemy finally wanted to talk. "Forward the request to Chancellor," she said. "He will decide how we respond." Chancellor read the Emperor's message in his private office. The ruler begged for mercy. He offered reparations. He promised to punish those responsible for new. He offered anything, everything, just to make the war stop. Thought about what he should feel. A year ago, he would have felt compassion. He would have wanted to end the suffering, to find peace, to be the bigger species. Now he felt nothing but cold satisfaction. He typed his response carefully. "You taught us that mercy is weakness. You demonstrated this lesson by killing 4 million innocent people. Children died because of your lesson. Families burned. Dreams ended." He paused, considering his next words. "We were good students. We learned exactly what you wanted us to learn, and now we will show you that we understood perfectly." He sent the message. The war would continue until humans decided it was over, not one moment before. Captain Bay received new orders the same day. He was to capture a commander, a high-ranking officer named Vex, the same commander who had discovered Ghost Squadron's first message. The capture was easy. Commander Vex had been broken by a year of fear. He surrendered without resistance, too tired to fight anymore. Brought him to a private room on his ship. They sat across from each other, human and victor and defeated. "I remember you," Vex said. His voice was hollow. "You were on that ship, the first message." "Yes." "You said you would teach us fear." Vex laughed bitterly. "You succeeded." Studied the alien commander. He looked old now, broken, like something essential had been crushed inside him. "I want to offer you a choice," said. Vex looked up. What choice could you possibly offer me? Help us end this war. Give us the codes and locations we need to finish this quickly. In return, we will spare your civilian population. Your people will survive. Vex stared at him. You would show mercy after everything. Thought about the question. Would he show mercy? Did he even have mercy left to give? I don't know, he said honestly. I know what we are capable of. I know we could destroy your entire civilization if we chose to. We have the power now. He met Vex's eyes. But somewhere inside me, there is still a voice that says we should not become you. We should not massacre innocents to prove a point. That voice sounds weak, Vex said quietly. Maybe, or maybe that voice is the only thing keeping us human, leaned forward. Help us end this. Give us the chance to be better than we have been. Vex was silent for a long moment. Then slowly he began to talk. The information he provided would shorten the war by months. It would save countless lives, human and alike. And it would give humanity a chance to make a choice, the most important choice they had ever faced. What kind of species did they want to be when this was over? 2 years after the massacre of Nu, the human fleet arrived at the Admiral Park stood on the bridge of his flagship staring at the planet below. Billions of lived there. Civilians, children, families who had never chosen war, never voted for massacre, never done anything except be born into the wrong civilization. His fleet surrounded the planet completely. His weapons could crack its surface, boil its oceans, turn every city to ash. He had the power to do to them exactly what they had done to Nu. 4 million for 4 million. The thought sat in his mind like a stone. Admiral, his tactical officer said, all ships report ready, weapons are charged, waiting for your order. Did not respond. He was looking at the planet's surface where lights glowed in the darkness. Millions of lights, homes, schools, markets, places where children played and families ate dinner and people dreamed about tomorrow. Just like Nu. He closed his eyes and saw his daughter's face. Sumi had been so proud when he became admiral. She had hugged him and said, my father protecting everyone. She believed in him. She believed he was good. What would she think of him now? He opened his eyes. His hand hovered over the command panel. Admiral, the tactical officer's voice was uncertain. Lowered his hand. Hold fire, he said quietly. The bridge fell silent. Officers exchanged confused glances. Sir, the tactical officer asked. Turned to face his crew. They had followed him through 2 years of war. They had killed and destroyed and terrorized at his command. They were loyal. They would do whatever he ordered. I became a monster to fight monsters, he said. I told myself it was necessary. I told myself my daughter would understand. His voice cracked slightly. But standing here, looking at their world, I realized something. He pointed at the planet below. There are children down there. Children who never hurt anyone. If I give the order, they will die. Millions of them. And nothing I tell myself will change what that makes me. Captain Bay stood in the back of the bridge. He had come to deliver intelligence reports, but now he was frozen, listening. I joined this war because I wanted to die, said suddenly. All eyes turned to him. I survived Nu and I hated myself for it. I thought if I could not die with them, I would at least kill for them. He stepped forward. But somewhere in the last 2 years that changed. I stopped wanting to die. I started wanting to live, to build something, to make sure Nu meant something more than just revenge. He looked at the admiral. If we do this, we become them. We become the species that kills children to prove a point. And everything our people died for, everything they believed in, dies with us. Nodded slowly, I know. The communication panel lit up. Director's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired. There were shadows under her eyes that had not been there 2 years ago. I heard what you said, she told them. Her voice was flat. I spent 2 years planning this moment. I imagined watching their world burn. I thought it would make me feel something again. She paused. My brother was the kindest person I ever knew. He taught children to paint. He believed that art could change the world. He believed that if you showed people enough beauty, they would stop wanting to destroy things. A tear ran down her cheek. She did not wipe it away. He was probably wrong, but standing here about to order the death of millions of children, I keep hearing his voice. He's asking me what I'm doing. He's asking if this is who I want to be. She looked directly at. I can't do it. I thought I could. I wanted to, but I can't." The bridge was completely silent. Then one by one the officers began to nod. They understood. They had all lost someone. They had all wanted revenge. But they had also all been human once before the war, and somewhere inside them that humanity still existed. Admiral straightened his shoulders. "Send a message to the government," he ordered. "Tell them we accept their surrender. Their military leaders will be tried for crimes against humanity. Their fleet will be dismantled. Their empire will be monitored." He paused. "But their people will live." The message was sent. The emperor accepted immediately. He would have accepted anything to save his people. The war was over. In the weeks that followed, human forces occupied space. They arrested the commanders who had ordered the attack on Nu. They shut down weapons factories and military bases. They established tribunals to try the guilty. But they did not harm the civilians. They did not destroy the cities. They did not teach them a lesson in blood. Instead, they taught them something else. Human medical teams landed on worlds to treat the sick. Human engineers helped repair infrastructure that had been damaged during the war. Human teachers opened schools to help rebuild education systems. The galaxy watched in confusion. The humans, one species, whispered to each other. They had the power to destroy them completely. Why didn't they? The answer came from Chancellor, in his final address to the galaxy before retiring from office. "We could have killed them all," he said. "We had the weapons, we had the rage, we had every right to demand blood for blood." He shook his head. "But that is not who we want to be." He looked into the camera, and for the first time in 2 years, his eyes were warm again. "Humans are not strong because we can destroy. We are strong because we can choose not to. We are strong because we can hold rage and mercy in the same heart and decide which one wins." He smiled sadly. "They taught us that we had not forgotten how to be terrible. We needed to prove to ourselves that we had not forgotten how to be kind." 10 years later, the colony world of Nu was rebuilt. Admiral Park, retired now, stood in the memorial garden at the center of the capital city. Trees grew where ash had fallen. Flowers bloomed where children had died. Life had returned. A young alien approached him nervously, a diplomat from one of the species that had once called humans weak. He bowed respectfully. "Admiral, may I ask you something?" Nodded. "Everyone in the galaxy tells stories about what happened, about how humans became something terrifying, something the galaxy will never forget." The diplomat hesitated. "But then you stopped. You won and you showed mercy. I do not understand. Why?" Watched a group of children playing nearby. Human children and children laughing together. The next generation growing up without hate. "We learned something in that war," he said slowly. "Something important about what we are." He turned to face the diplomat. "Humans are not good or evil. We are both. We have the capacity for incredible kindness and terrible cruelty. We can build hospitals and weapons of mass destruction. We can save worlds and burn them." He smiled, but his eyes were serious. "For 80 years we chose to show the galaxy our kind side. We thought that was who we really were. They taught us otherwise. They reminded us that the monster still lives inside us." He gestured at the memorial garden. "But here is what we learned. Being civilized is not about being incapable of violence. It is about choosing not to be violent. Being good is not about lacking the power to do evil. It is about having that power and refusing to use it." The diplomat nodded slowly. "So you made a choice." "Yes, we chose to be kind once. We chose to be terrible. And in the end we chose to be human. That means holding both inside us and deciding every single day which one wins." He looked at the diplomat with eyes that had seen too much. "We proved that we could destroy anyone who threatened us. No one in the galaxy will forget that. But we also proved that we could stop. We could choose mercy even when we had earned the right to choose death." His voice hardened slightly. "Pray you never make us choose again." The diplomat left with much to think about. Stayed in the garden until sunset. He watched the children play. He watched the trees grow. He watched life continue in the place where death had ruled. His daughter was still gone. His were still ash. Nothing would change that. But new children laughed where old children had died. New families built homes where old families had burned. Life continued. Hope survived. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was what being human really meant. Not being perfect, not being incapable of darkness, but choosing every day to walk toward the light. The stars came out above new. Somewhere among them, the galaxy watched and wondered what humanity would do next. For now they chose peace. But they never forgot what they could become. And neither did anyone else.